Alright, hey guys, so this is our next video on fingerprinting. We've already talked about the different classifications for fingerprints, the loop, the arch, the whorl. You should know the subclasses, how to determine those, and you also should be able to identify minutia and know what minutia are. Also, you should also know a little bit about the history of fingerprinting as well. So if you don't know that, you need to watch those other videos and make sure that you are understanding those concepts because they will be on the test. And so now we're actually going to get into the development of latent prints and some of the different types of fingerprints. And you need to know the different types of fingerprints. First one is a patent fingerprint. This is where you have visible prints left over because you have a liquid has come in contact with your fingerprint. So this might be blood, ink, or something, and it's transferred to the surface. Think about like when you are making brownies or something at home and you get some batter on your finger and you touch something. That would be a patent fingerprint. There's also plastic prints. This is where your fingerprint is left in something. Think of like a handprint in the mud. Think about, you know, if you actually, a weird way to see your prints on this is if you touch the top of Jello, you can see your fingerprint quite well there. That would be a plastic print. So that is impressed into it. And then the one that we're mostly familiar with are latent prints. These are the kind of invisible ones from the transfer of oils from our fingers onto a surface. And so you have to have a way of getting that print to be visible. So we're going to talk about some of the ways to develop prints. One of the ways we do this is with using fingerprint powders, and there are several different types of powders that we will end up talking about, and you will be dusting for prints. And I'll probably do another video talking about the method that you would use for that. And so what happens is you use these dust. This dust sticks to the oils, the oil residue that's left on the surface, and so then when you wipe that dust off, it still leaves the print, and you're able to see the print and take the print. And so here's the types of powders. You have gray and black powders. You pick the color that goes best with the surface. If you have a black surface, you probably don't want to put black powder on it because then you can't see it. So you would use a lighter gray powder. There's even white powders. They actually come in all sorts of different colors. I actually have orange powders. Magnetic powder, we'll be using this. This is a lot less mess, okay, because you actually use kind of a magnetic stick. I should have brought a case over here to show you, but we'll see them in class. And then fluorescent powders, that's the ones like the orange powders. These, when you expose them to ultraviolet light, they tend to glow, and so you're able to see them. A couple of different ways to chemically process fingerprints if you can't see a fingerprint. One is 9-hydrin. This reacts with the amino acids in the sweat, and it causes a purplish bluish print to pop up. So you spray this solution on it, and we have an example here on our check where it was sprayed onto a porous surface with 9-hydrin, and it developed into a different color. Silver nitrate is an expensive and kind of not the best chemical to use, but silver nitrate is another reagent that you would use. Like it says here, it's not really good because it destroys proteins, so you don't really want to handle it, but it also will cause a print to come to cause it to be visible. Cyanocrylate, okay, this is superglue. Okay, we found out that superglue, Japanese police in 1982 found out that superglue actually causes prints when you add a little heat to it and you let the fumes from that cyanocrylate get on the surface of something. That causes the prints to develop. We will probably at least attempt this in class, although I don't have a full-on unit, permanent unit to do this. We can kind of rig something up and see if it works. DFO is another type. We don't have any DFO that we will probably be handling, but it is much more sensitive than 9-hydrin. Rhodamine 6G is another type of dye that you would use, and you need to know these terms and how they were used. It's a fluorescent dye, and so this is something that you would use after you use the superglue that allows you to see the prints. Iodine fuming, they've been doing this for a long time. You use fumes off of solid iodine, and it causes the prints to develop, but it tends to fade once those prints are gone. So you have to generally take pictures of something very quickly to get the print. Crystal violet is a chemical reagent that causes a violet color, purple color, basically, to come over. Amido black is another type of stain that you can put on something. These are all color developers. And then the last one here is LCV. This is a protein spray. It's the same type of thing. You spray it on a non-porous surface, and it allows like a invisible bloody fingerprint to be able to be seen. Okay, because it reacts with the proteins in that blood. Okay, so this is how you preserve latent prints. One, you can photograph them. If there is a physical print there, especially if you're talking about a patent print, especially about a plastic print, you can take pictures of it. You can cover the print to preserve it, which is nice if it's a small piece of evidence. But if you're talking about like something that would be on like a chair, you can't just take the chair with you. And so the main way this is done is by lifting the print, and we will use a special type of adhesive tape that you very carefully apply to that print once you have dusted for it, or once you have used a chemical reagent on it, and then you lift that print off using the adhesive from the tape, and you attach it to a card. If it's a black powder, you would put it on a white card. If it's a, and vice versa. Real quick, composition of fingerprints. Just a second, I have students at the door. Composition of fingerprints. So your fingerprints are mostly water, 99.5% water, 1% solid. They have different contaminants in them, and those levels of contaminants will basically cause your prints to change like over time, cause them to dissolve over time. So here's some of the factors affecting fingerprints. You need to know these. I'm not going to run through them all, but age, your ridge structure, if you're sweating, how you're feeling, medical conditions. This is the factors that affect fingerprints of actually like sticking to a surface. It might be the texture of something. It might be contaminants on your hands, how you touch it, if you just barely touch something versus putting down pressure. And then, of course, environmental factors, because fingerprints, they start to dissolve over time. Some of them start dissolving nearly immediately since they're mostly water, and so you start to have a breakdown of them. Trends with fingertips. You cannot determine who a person is from their fingerprints, like just their age, sex, or anything like that. However, there are some statistics there. In young adults, women generally have very fine friction ridges. Over time, manual labor can cause your friction ridges on your finger to strengthen. Women have a lower salt level in them, and women generally have more creases in their fingerprints. And that's pretty much it. So you need to know all of those main concepts. Basically everything I knew there, you need to take notes on this and to know it for class.